Okay, so I know you're here for the One Punch Man review. Of course you're here for the One Punch Man review. That might be what else would you be from my channel for. But just quickly before I start, look at this. Look at this. This is the Blu-ray for One Punch Man. I mean, look at this. Like, look at that. I know it's not the best because of the lighting, and then look at that. Ooh, how pretty is that? And then the DVDs. Look at those. Isn't that cool? If the lighting wasn't ruining it, oh, that's better. You know? And you get a book as well. This isn't like a sponsor deal or anything, although Manga UK, you want to get in touch with me about any of this. I'm more than happy to. But yeah, like I said, it isn't a sponsor deal. I mean, at the end of the day, I've only got like 60 subs. It's going to be a long time if I got any sponsor deals. But I recommend getting it because it looks so good on Blu-ray. Honestly, I was like, I don't think it'll be much. It's so good on Blu-ray. I don't know what it is, it just clicks. One Punch Man 78. Now, I don't have a chapter title for this yet. When I read this, it's still an early kind of translation. So, on the thumbnail, whenever I find out what the chapter name is, I will change it. But until then, it's just gonna be One Punch Man 78. And it was good. Because, I don't know. Yes, no, at the end of the day, it was a good chapter. It got me thinking though, and some questions have been raised. So, first of all, it starts off where it didn't happen. No. It starts off different from where we were last time, with focusing on Sonic. Sonic was in a building on his own because he's just had this big encounter that we get to see during the manga. So, he's off training in the forest, obviously to face Saitama, and he's, you know, I've got to say, like, there's a lot of good panels in this chapter, especially a lot of the background. I'll get onto my favourite panel in a bit, but it's probably not the one that you guys would be thinking of. So, basically he's training to take down Saitama, and these guys interrupt him. And he's like, who are you? And then he's like, he can sense that they're there before then. And then this guy with this ridiculous kind of outfit. In a way, I was like, that's kind of cool, but the hair just kind of makes me go, but I suppose that's in a... The thing is, I can always justify it with One Punch Man, so I'm like, okay, it's parody. It's either cool or it's a parody, which makes it funny. It's either cool or funny. That's okay. So then, before Sonic can do anything, the other guy, like, attacks him on the back, and he's getting, like, attacked by these two guys at once. And to be fair, Sonic holds him off. But that one panel where they're, like, circling around him in the spiral, how good did that look? And I was like, these guys are fast. If Sonic is struggling to keep up with them, these are fast guys. So even Sonic acknowledges who they are. It's like, if you're here to fight with them, that means you're ready to die. You've accepted death, kind of thing. I was like, yes, Sonic. But my favourite panel, which I said, is actually the one where you've got I'm amazed by how good Murata was with it. Because it's when Sonic is diving and then he's like swinging from the tree and you see the different poses. I mean, how much studying would you have to do to look at a person from all those different angles and be able to draw like there, as if they're swinging round the tree? I thought, like, I didn't really clock it the first time right, but the second time, like, it kind of hit me like, wow, that took a lot of work and detail to do something like that. It must have, like, it was incredible. So, eventually, these guys, like, so obviously he's like, if you dare to attack me, you must mean death. And they're like, oh, attack you? No, this is just a little greeting, a warm-up, if you will. So your speed sounds Sonic. I guess you at least know the basics of martial arts. I'm like, okay. So obviously, I never really guessed, like, when they said they were from, so these two are ninjas from a previous generation. So I'm going to quickly get into that in a sec. But it wasn't really a surprise that they're from the Monster Association. I'm just surprised they haven't looked at recruiting Sonic before, because of how, like, you know, he's a powerful opponent. You think, with a lot of people on their radars, they'd be like, okay, this guy, maybe we should get in contact with him sooner. But, you know, it wasn't a surprise from the Monster Association. But the main surprise was we learned maybe a bit about Sonic's backstory, and a bit about just ninjas in general in the series. So ninjas haven't really been much of a thing until now. Because Sonic, as we learn, is from the 44th generation. He is the sole survivor of the generation that's simply known as the End. Now, he must be the last ninja. Something happened in Sonic's past that is the reason he's the last ninja around. Well, not the last ninja around, but the last graduate ninja, and there's no more we can guess from the title. Whereas these guys are from, like, 7 generations before, and they're from the golden generation. Now, obviously, like, it can't be 100% accurate, but we can take a good guess that they're from the golden generation because they're the best generation. These guys are the top tier ninjas. Except for possibly one, but I'm going to get onto that as well. Look at me give all these little teasers. I'm a little cheeky man. But yes, their names are Galewind and Hellfire or something. Put their names down below. I'm fairly sure about Galewind. It's like Black Hellfire is the other guy. And they basically come to recruit Sonic to become part of the Monster Association. And they're just talking it through with him, and you know, they're saying it's a waste of his skills to fight who he's currently against. He's like, is this your current target? Oh, what a waste of skills. Like, this guy, I think they say, like, we can take him down, no problem. I gave a very audible laugh. They're not going to, because I can't see them fighting. But I would like them to just have a little go at Saitama. Just see how they get on with the skateboarding. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? But yeah. So, and they introduce him to a lot of concepts too. So they're basically, you know, we want to test you because, you know, speed is strength, and it's very true. Don't get me wrong, but. Nah, yeah, of course. No, never mind. So, like, speed is strength, and we don't have many people that are fast. A lot of them hit hard, but not many are actually fast enough like us. They're not fast, so we want to give you an opportunity because we want to achieve a goal. And they make it very clear. Well, at first they're like, I don't know, and then Sonic's like, Sonic's a smart guy at the same time. He's like, this isn't making sense, really. Like, it doesn't make sense. If you guys are so powerful, why do you need to recruit me? And why would you tell me all this kind of thing? And then they eventually are like, yeah, we could tell him, yeah, we want to kill Flashy Flash, or Lightspeed Flash, or whatever you want to call him. Flashy Flash, I think, is now his official title. It's a bit less cool than Lightspeed Flash, but Flashy Flash will do. Now, of course, there isn't enough known about Flashy Flash at this point. Obviously, if it's about speed and pride, we can probably guess Flashy Flash, apart from a certain one-hit wonder we know, is the fastest character in the series. For now, I'd say. Because, well, like, you saw him when he took on the giant octopus monster, of course, and when you compare, and I'm not saying Sonic's obviously wicked fast, but he's compared to sound, while Flashy Flash is compared to light. So there's that difference there, of course. So maybe, also, because I was looking at Flashy Flash's design, apart from, like, the cape, I think he's got kind of a ninja outfit going on. As well, and he's got I think he has a katana like the ninjas do, so maybe he was from like the 38th, maybe he was in between the 37th and the 44th generation somewhere, and he's like the best. Like, okay, they're the golden era, but this guy's a prodigy like no other. He is the best ninja of all, something along those lines. And maybe they want revenge because they're like, we were the best, and then you showed up kind of thing. It's probably what I can imagine. And then, even then, Sonic's a bit like, I don't know, like, I don't really trust you guys, and that kind of thing. But then, we get another brilliant panel. I need to read it just to double check. Then, even then, Sonic's a bit like, no, I don't care about this kind of stuff. Look, if you want to die, stay here, but if you want to keep your lives, I suggest you leave. And they're like, very well, fine. I guess we'll have to show you a glimpse of our monster power. And this guy starts to transform, and he's got like this leopard kind of design to him. So maybe they're both kind of animals. Is what I would probably have to guess. Obviously, we didn't see the other guy's form, but he started to get a lot of veins, but he disappeared behind Sonic long enough. Even Sonic lost track of him. And I think there's only been 2 people Sonic's ever lost track. 3 if we count Deep Seeking. And I won't count Deep Seeking just because he seemed to know where he was when they fought. But obviously, Genos and Saitama were the other 2. And Sonic was like, what? Where'd he go? And he appears behind him and is like, of course, to become part of the Monster Association, we are indeed monsters. And he has that evil eye, and it's like, it's like a gross eye, definitely. And even Sonic's scared, and he's like, I couldn't see him. I can't do anything about that. And then they make it clear, it's like, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of drugs or modification surgery you go under, because the monster cell just annuls all of that. And they also make it clear that if you have enough control over your body, apparently it's supposed to make, even then, like, obviously, it's what I've been saying for the past few chapters until when they introduce monster cells, it probably, like, just makes you more evil as well. It brings out your darker side, because that's probably what it is to become a monster too. On top of the strength, and it's like, yeah, but we were already, like, but when we have this kind of power, we can control it at will. So maybe, if you're already a bad person, I don't imagine these guys necessarily being heroes, but maybe if you are already a bad person, and then you get the monster cell, you can control it at will. So maybe this is I don't know, this might happen to Garo, because the thing is, Garo's not a bad guy, really, because obviously, like, he's had his bad moments, but, you know, he sticks up for kids. You know, he doesn't hurt kids and he looks after them. So he's not, like, fully there as a demon or a monster or whatever he wants to become, but So basically, to end their kind of confrontation, their like talk with each other, they end up giving him a monster cell and go, listen, we'll leave you to it, you decide what you want to, but we'll see you around, kind of thing. And they go off. And then we go back to where Sonic is at the building at the moment. And he's very much like, honestly, I'll do anything to surpass Saitama. Like, I can't, but if I keep going the way I am, I can't imagine beating him. It's like he says, and he says that even back when he faces Saitama, when he matches like that 10 Shadow Strike. But of course he's like, I still can't imagine taking one, and then Saitama of course serious sidesteps him. That was a good time. But he's also confident in the sense that he's like, if I take this, I know I'm going to be stronger than these guys. And then he comes to peace with who he is, and he's like, I've lived a good life, I have no regrets. I'm happy to end my life here, pretty much, kind of thing. You know? And I was kind of disappointed. I was. It made sense that Sonic might want to become a monster, but I just imagine Sonic maybe having too much pride, because he's not a good guy, really. Well, like, he's more of an anti-hero. Like, he'll do what it takes to get Saitama to fight him, or to be better than Saitama. I always saw in the future at some point, and it's still possible, that he might become an S-class hero, because if he's so obsessed with being Saitama, the best way he could probably do that is if he actually just joined the Hero Association, because he'd immediately go to S-class with his skills, without a doubt. He'd be S-class. And then he'd be ahead of Saitama, and then he'd be like, oh, I'm better than you, Saitama, but he'd probably be a shallow victory. And he decides to eat the monster cell. I just thought there'd be more for him. I thought it might be, I'm not saying he didn't have an internal struggle, because obviously this is something he's been coping with a bit. The fact that he's got such an overwhelming obstacle to overcome, and he's not getting there anytime soon. And he just wants the power boost, and he's like, I don't know. Obviously, by the end of this chapter, it doesn't work, but I just kind of thought he might be like, no, you know what, I'm going to grow on my own, because that gave me more hope for Sonic, but maybe I'm looking at him too good. So, then we get to the next part of the chapter, which is pretty awesome, where it's basically the Hero Association wrapping up everything. Like, listen, most of the monsters have gone. We couldn't track them because they've either left by sky or through the sewers, or they've dug underground, and we couldn't follow them, kind of thing. So most of the monsters have gone, and one of them who hasn't left yet though is Marshall Gorilla, the Commando Beret Gorilla, who's got like the cigarette, he's got the knife and the banana kind of grenades thing he's got on him, and and he's apparently not leaving because he's not happy with his threat level, because he's known as Tiger, he wants to be known as a demon level threat, but at the same time he's not there yet. Well, yeah, he's not there yet, because he beat A-class hero Heavy Kong, and they're still not knocked him up, and he's obviously a bit overconfident, and they're like, there isn't much we can do at this point, we just gotta hope he kind of goes away, and obviously they can set like heroes for a perimeter, but the thing is, if they're that weak, Heavy Kong can't really it doesn't really have much to worry about, because the thing is, there's a big gap between A-class and S. There isn't much of a gap between like C and B and A. Obviously it depends on the hero, so like, for example, Fubuki is like top A-class rank really, instead of B-class. But still, there's much difference between A, B, and C, but S-class, there's a massive difference. I mean, you look at the fights the S-class level heroes have had compared to like the A-class heroes. The A-class, I'm not saying A-class is completely bad, but there's a lot of things there that could be improved. But then Zombie Man appears. I completely forgot about Zombie Man, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to see what Zombie Man is all about. If he's going to fight Marshall Gorilla, I'm totally up for this. But no, he's not, and I've got to say, I like him. He hasn't done much, but he's smart, and he thinks things through. He's like, okay, I can take him, he's confident, he's like, I can take him out at any point. I'm fine with that. But it's better off if I tail him, and I learn about him, and I can find as much information out about our opponents as possible, because he already has his suspicions on who they are. Now, whether he thinks they're the Monster Association, it could be possible, but he could think they're another group because of who shows up at the end. But, anyway, I've got to say, I like him a lot, but I think, I remember a while ago in an interview, there was, one did an interview or something, and it was to do with Zombie Man. And like a lot of questions were about Zombie Man actually, and so I'm guessing he's quite a popular character in the webcomic. So when the guys were like, so when he shows up and even like the C-Class show was like, oh my god, he's so cool, isn't he? I was like, okay, I see where you're going with this. I'm totally on board. Like, Zombie Man's power is he can't die or something? He's kind of immortal. Because I remember that from the OVA. That like someone had killed Zombie Man, but no, he was fine. So, anyway, back to it. So he's just kind of tailing Zombie Man, trying to find out as much. Zombie Man is tailing Marshall Gorilla, trying to get as much information as possible. And all of a sudden, a big person is walking down the street. And I was like, okay, who could that be? Because obviously, for a start, I was like, well, whenever I see someone wearing a hood, like doing average stuff, obviously I think of Saitama in his Opie hoodie. And he is, obviously it wasn't Saitama because they describe him as a big guy. I'm like, who else could it be? I was trying to think who it might be. Like, we're going to meet a new hero, for example? Or is it going to be like S-Class hero or like Super Luster Black Alloy? Maybe someone like that. I wasn't fully sure. But I was surprised to who it was. So Marshall Kong approaches this guy, he's like, hey, what are you doing? And then it's Armored Gorilla. Armored Gorilla, all the way back from House of Evolution, hasn't shown up for a long time. And here he is. Oh wow. I just love that interaction they have. He's just like, hey, you're a gorilla. Yes, and you're a gorilla. Thing is now, like, I've heard his voice, but because I'm going to play so much Overwatch, with Armored Gorilla, I just hear Winston's voice, like, yes, and you're a gorilla. That kind of voice. Well, but much better, because Crispin Freeman's a much better voice actor than me. But yeah, and they just had this conversation. He's like, what are you? And then there's some interesting points there as well, because he mentions free monster is one thing I noticed. So he goes, so he's like, hey, what are you, a free monster? So are there groups of monsters who don't want to fight or are actually good? And they're like not part of the Monster Association or something. So either, maybe they're a separate group who are just like, no, we don't want to bother humans or anything like that. We don't want to attack them. We just want to live our lives kind of thing. Because he made that very clear. And then like, everyone was like, free monster, what's that? Armored Gorilla was at least. He's like, I don't care. You're a potential opponent. So Danny's like, let's find out what his attack is. Because he's got like a complicated name. Armored Gorilla, he was very, very Saitama in this. The hood, the let's say fair attitude. Let me find out. So Armored Gorilla was also just in the area because like I just came to do some grocery shopping, but it was closed. So die here. Gorilla style knife skill banana. Oh, gorilla style knife skill banana slash. Straight away, he starts to slash him with the knife. It just, poof! It just disintegrates, mate, because he's Armored Gorilla, it just smashes into pieces. Boom! Like, his face is mangled. I think it goes down to the bone. Obviously, his teeth are destroyed. He's unconscious, like, stop bothering people. And then he just carries on his way. So, who is Armored Gorilla with? Probably Dr. Genus, because who else survived the House of Evolution? No one. Just Armored Gorilla and Dr. Genus. And then Zombie Man's now changed his goal to meeting, basically following Armored Gorilla. He's like, okay, this could be a new lead, this could be a new lead. He's more like a detective Zombie Man is what I'm thinking now, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, so maybe there'll be some interaction between Zombie Man and Dr. Genus. That'll be interesting, because, honestly, there could be some potential allies. Or, like, there might be this kind of talk about I feel like Saitama might come up somewhere, and he's going to be like, he's like, oh, the monster, don't worry about that. You guys have got a very strong person on your side. Like, we've got Armored Gorilla to help out, but you've got a very strong hero somewhere in the world. And then he'll be like, oh, they're talking about, like, Blast or something like that. Yeah, but I suppose it also kind of shows the difference in power scale. So I'll only say it like this. Also, just that funny bit at the end, so Sonic decides to eat the monster cell, but he cooks it, and he carves it up, and he fries it, everything. He's like, oh, taking effect, just see Saitama, I'm going to get you one of these days. And he just has a stomachache. I think that's kind of his way of saying, of Muratamon going, no, you might have that attitude, but don't become a monster kind of thing. Which just kind of rounds up that whole story completely, in a way. But, what I want to say was about the power levels, kind of, so... Let's think back. So, House of Evolution, Genos versus Armored Gorilla. Genos beat Armored Gorilla, and he kind of had no problem with him. Like, obviously he struggled a lot less than he fought Mosquito Girl, or Carnage Kabuto, or things like that. Genos has received several upgrades since then. Now, I don't know if Armored Gorilla has. Obviously, he's had his parts fixed, so maybe he got a minor upgrade, but he seems to be living a pretty peaceful life. And if someone at that level is, let's say he's Tiger. Let's say Martial Gorilla is Demon, and Armored Gorilla just knocks him out in one punch. Like, that kind of says the power gap. So, yes, there aren't many strong heroes, but the S-Class heroes, where they're there, are strong. So, because Genos is stronger than he was before, he could take on Martial Gorilla no problem kind of thing. He could take on a lot of the monsters no problem. He was doing great, alright, until he fought, like, until he started struggling a bit with the slasher guy. He beat him, like, Ultimate Cockroach. He fought, I really want to see that rematch too. And then of course he just got knocked down by Bakuzan. And of course we got all those S-Class heroes, and then we got the Saitama as well. So, it's gonna be alright, I think, for the future. So, like, obviously Saitama could handle pretty much all of it on his own. I mean, it's just a case of everyone's gonna get fights, and I feel like, you know, a lot of these small characters who are gonna be like, I'm the greatest, they're just gonna get one shot by the heroes. But overall, a good chapter. It's interesting, they're really just building it up and introducing characters and grudges at this point, which is what they've been doing for a bit now. Oh, Bang's, I completely forgot about Bang! How did we forget about Bang? Right, Bang. Bang's part is only small in this chapter, but basically it's basically him saying him and Boom, I think it is? His brother? Something along those lines. I need to remember his name. Basically, they spent the whole day just fighting monsters and being volunteer heroes kind of for the day instead of hunting Garo. And they're like, do you think... And like his brother... I keep wanting to call him Blast. He's not Blast though. So we'll call him Boom for now. So Boom says to his brother, like, you know, are you sure that this is the kind of guy you're gonna... This is the guy, basically. Like, is he not gonna get taken down by a hero or monster? And the thing is, we kind of see this different side to Bang's approach about Garo, because he's very much like, no, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He's not an idiot. Like, he knows when to stay out of a fight, and he knows when to do this. And he has this kind of he talks about like this kind of respect for Garo, especially in the next part. Like, we get that flash to basically the hole in the wall that Saitama made for Garo, and then he's like, you know, Bang, and Bang's kind of like, you know, I don't want you to be taken down myself. Like, at least let it be me who takes you down as your master. I see it's my responsibility to take down my students. So maybe he's got some emotional tie still to Garo. I mean, it's not impossible if he was like his best student and then he just went rogue. It'd be, I suppose, maybe even like a father-son relationship's possible between the two of them. I don't know. I would like to see more Bang-Garo interactions. It's going to be an interesting moment when they meet up. Definitely. But yes, overall, some good chapter. Yeah. I liked it a lot. I was glad to see Armored Gorilla back. Did not expect that. I love that about One Punch Man. It keeps me guessing. Armored Gorilla showed up out of nowhere, and it was great. Then we had, Garo. It's, like I said, it's basically just building up grudges and matches. It's basically building up for this big fight between the Hero Association and the Monster Association. There's a lot of people who are like, I'm going to take on you and you. So obviously, with different classes, so the main characters, pretty much, anyone who's considered more of a main hero is getting their grudges built up. So obviously, like, with Fubuki and the S-Class heroes, and no one for Saitama, unfortunately, but even, like, Sonic, and we're going to get backup from, like, the Samurai group as well. Maybe there'll even be another good ninja clan or something. Maybe there's survivors of the ninja clan who are good and like, yeah, we'll help out Sonic on this one. If Sonic decided to go, we'll just take down the Monster Association. I doubt he will, because I don't know what Sonic's going to do. But overall, good chapter. I'm very curious as to see what they'll do next. Maybe, I doubt Suiryu's going to show up for a bit. I was going to say maybe Suiryu, no, I think he's gone for a while now. I think he's out for the rest of the arc. Basically, until Garo's defeated, I don't think we're going to see Suiryu again. But, yeah, I like this chapter. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. I like talking about that a lot. If you like this review, please give it a like. It means a lot to me. And if you'd like to see more One Punch Man reviews in the future, please subscribe. That would mean a lot to me as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.